Is Ashley hopping on?
I don't know. So welcome to our team call for April 17th. I just want to do a few quick updates before we dive in and as people still kind of are hopping on. But if you are in the Diamond Dash, just make sure that you check in there, that you're checking in daily, because we are doing lives, we are sharing content in there, and would absolutely love feedback on what you're struggling with or what you need to see more of with direction, because we're kind of throwing this together to hopefully help you really rally to push for those goals. So if you're in there, please let us know if it's helpful so far, and just kind of where you're at and what you're working on. I know that there's a big push pot at stake, so that's always kind of fun to have extra incentive to crush goals that you are already working towards. I wanted to just mention that if you are in our Get Elevated community, that we are going to be transitioning that to the summer shred, kicking off a prep week next week and kicking off Monday the 29th. And we have also, for those of you that are in there and are kind of working with us, we haven't had it be this super engaged content yet. So we are going to be, we found someone gave us a tip that there's a woman who creates challenge group guides. And if you're not in our community, you might want to know this too, but there's a woman who sells challenge group guides with the photos and the content. And it's something that for me personally, and those of us running it are more than happy to delegate and pay a little bit of money for, because it's incredible to have content like that created for you, to where you just plug and play and take it and plug it into your groups. To have really exciting and fun, new, fresh content every single month without spending hours having to kind of create that yourself. So we're going to be starting that the beginning of next month and see how it goes. And hopefully it's really going to kind of rally the energy and the engagement in the group. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And of course, we are still inviting to Ultimate Portion Fix. That is on sale through the end of the month. So if you have follow-ups to do about that, definitely make sure you're on top of those, because we want to make sure that people aren't too far behind where we're at in the group right now. So does anybody have questions about any of those things? No?
Dana, I have a question. Do you or anybody on here, do you guys use a personal assistant for other things as well?
Yep, I do.
Where did you find yours?
I can give you her information if you want it, and she would do a discovery call with you to see kind of what you're looking for to have done and what kind of things you want to have done, because she kind of customizes it depending on what you need. Back 2 years ago, I had her doing way more than she's doing right now. So the only thing that she's really doing for me right now is she schedules some challenge group posts for me if I need it, just for one of my groups, because usually I'm not ahead of the game enough to send her content to do it. But she makes all our Success Club graphics, our volume boards every single week. She makes the banner and the team page. It's basically I delegated the things that took me quite a bit of time that are not necessarily important for me to be doing, if that makes sense, but nothing else in my business is delegated. Everything else is what I do. I just chose, for me personally, that was worth the investment of the time that you save. So you kind of have to decide on what you want to be delegated that sucks your time or sucks your energy. And you can kind of negotiate with her to see if whatever works for you. But she's awesome. She's virtual, so she just I have a page with her and just kind of connect with her through there. So I can give you her information if you want it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm just struggling to keep up with things like the Success Club leads and all of that kind of stuff. And It would just be worth it for me to have somebody else go in and just reach out to all those people.
And she's awesome because she already works with coaches, so you don't have to teach her the Coach Online Office or anything like that. She knows how to run reports and all that kind of stuff. So it's honestly, awesome. You can't imagine how much time you can spend making graphics and things like that. So it's just really easy to have somebody create them for you when you get to that point in your business where you want to invest in it. So
yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. Send it to me.
Yep. Does anybody have shout outs they want to shout out for this week? or anticipation of exciting news tomorrow?
I'm pumped to see Ashley Smith signed onto the call tonight to check out our team.
Hey. Welcome, Ashley. I think that's super awesome. Are you just kind of popping in here to scope us out?
Yeah, basically. Sorry.
I love that. I love it. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And here's to Rachel, because she was all about getting somebody on this call this week to see what our team's all about. I love it. I think we should honestly open our team calls more to people just to see what we're all about and what we actually talk about, because I can't tell you how many times I've had people join the team and be like, God, this is nothing like what I thought it was going to be from the outside looking in. So hopefully you enjoy it, Ashley. All right, let's dig into getting started. Does anybody, before I start, does anybody have anything else they want to share or shout out or questions to ask? I'm going to shout out Ashley Halligan. Well, I think it was actually Kelly Riley who posted something about a vision board. So she's not on tonight. But then Ashley had posted in the team page and said, who else wants to get on board with making a vision board? So this is why we have this call topic tonight. You can thank her for that. But vision boards, my goodness. I love vision boards, and I told you guys in a live in the team page that this was the first year ever since I became a coach that I did not actually make a vision board. And given that I've been going through a lot health-wise and just kind of on a healing journey, I just did not mentally feel like I was in a good space. And with my lack of energy, it just honestly really overwhelmed me to think about making a vision board with all these crazy big goals that I just didn't even know if I was ready to push for. So obviously I'm feeling a lot better. I'm doing a lot better. So it is time to hash this out. And I actually had signed up to join a vision board creation course at the beginning of this year that shared some like really helpful things. So I kind of dug in there today again and went through my notes to kind of pull things that I think might be helpful to you. But I'm just curious, who already has a vision board or who has made one already?
I have one.
Or-ish.
It's mine is my desktop background, but it's from last year, and I've noticed that like I need to update and like kind of shift it around a little bit because I want to make it more so like goals that I want for this year rather than like goals that I just want overall with my business,
Yeah. And I think too, as you change and as your life changes, the things that you desire and the things you want change a lot too. So the first thing I want to say, like, I'm going to talk a little bit about like how you can create a vision board and just kind of like questions you can ask yourself, things you might want to put on it. I personally suggest making a vision board that really kind of covers all the bases of your life versus this just being business. Now, if you want to have just a business one, that's cool. But this business impacts our life. It impacts every corner of our life, right? So I just don't see the point in separating these things to where it's like just business. We should have things about business, about relationships, about your body, about how you feel, all that good stuff. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And then just a few like tips for kind of creating a routine for yourself around this. I don't know who all was on the call that was with Barbie Kalev. I think it was 2 Mondays ago about her I am affirmation statements. But that kind of like goes along with this topic as well too, because a lot of the things that you put on your vision board might seem super scary and super big and super out of your comfort zone, or like you just have so far to get there when you put something ballsy on your vision board that you want to achieve or become. So just know that like you mentally might have kind of a gap of like where you're at right now versus like where you want to go, but like don't let that deter you from putting things on your vision board that you really want most or really connect to. So the first thing to kind of think about is like the energy that you're having surrounding this. So like creating a vision board should like excite you, it should inspire you, it should be something that you look at and you're just like obsessed with it, right? Like it's fun to look at, which we're also going to talk a little about like limiting beliefs that might come up for you. But this is something I wanted to throw out there too, and this is something that Ashley and I have talked about quite a bit, is coming at creating a vision board from a mindset of abundance rather than a mindset of lack. So a lot of times when we want to create more income in our businesses, or we want something to happen so badly, we have this like lack attachment to it. Like, I don't have it and I want it so badly, and it feels kind of negative rather than exciting and inspiring. Does that make sense to anybody? So I want you to think about that when you're sitting down to like brain dump like what all you'd actually want to put on a vision board before you create it, and think about coming at it from this like excitement mindset of like, this is totally possible for me, versus this like, I'm not really sure if I can actually do that, or that's just so far from what I have in my life right now, or just all this shit that's not for us, right? So thinking about the mindset you're in and just giving yourself permission to really dream as you're creating this. Hold on, I gotta mute somebody. Okay. And then it's gonna be like the gathering process. So like, if you want to brain dump, like write these things out that you might want to put on a vision board, maybe kind of just thinking about words that really resonate with you, or images that you might want to put on it. And then for actually creating a vision board, you have a few different options. I know Annalisa, when you hosted your retreat a few years ago, she bought these really cute cork boards. And so we all spent a few hours like clipping things out of magazines and putting it on the cork board, which is really cool because with a cork board, you can take things down and pin things up, and you can kind of switch it up as you go. Whereas if you're making a vision board like a collage, like you get a poster and you print things out, or you cut things out of magazines to put on there, maybe there's not a whole lot of room for like changing it up or taking things off. That was how I did my first ever vision board, and everything was like glued or stapled on there to where it couldn't be moved or changed. And then the third way you could create it is in online, obviously on your computer, with something like PicMonkey is super easy to use. Does anybody else like PicMonkey? I'm a big PicMonkey fan. Yeah. PicMonkey is super simple, and if you don't know how to use it, I can easily screen share and pull it up and show you real quick. But PicMonkey, you can open like a free blank canvas, and then you can save photos to your desktop, and you can upload the image to your vision board and kind of move them around and add words in there if you want to, but just create it on your computer, and therefore it could be your desktop screen. It could be something you print out and hang in your office. That's typically what I do. But somewhere where you're going to be looking at this daily, right? Because that is the whole point, is really connecting to the feelings, connecting to the things that you want, and having that like constant reminder of where you're going. We've talked a lot about like when you don't have a bigger like long-term thing that you're pushing for, that it's very easy to just not show up for things when life is hard, right? So this getting clarity on this is super important, as much as it is fun. Okay, so does that kind of explain how you can actually create one, the few different ways? Does everybody, do you want to post in the comments how you intend to make yours?
Also a little tidbit too.
Yeah.
If you have like the Microsoft Office suite, you can also use like Word or Publisher or anything like that. But like, I know some people, like if you're in like a business world already and you already have it, you can just like go on Google and grab images too, and then drag and drop them into there too.
Cool. I don't know anything about that. I know what I know. Stephanie said, I don't remember where I read it, but someone talks about a Pinterest vision board. Yeah, you could do that. My only thing about Pinterest is that you're probably not going to be looking at it super frequently. I don't know, unless you're a Pinterest junkie and you're on there every day. But that is cool to save images to an album on Pinterest to kind of have at your use to make your vision board with. You have a cork board you're planning on using and hanging in your closet. I love that. Okay. So different things you can actually go ahead and start putting on a vision board, right? So we talked about using images. Images are really good because we are very visual creatures. So for example, putting a visual photo of something you desire to achieve in your business, like maybe it's being on a national wake-up call, or it's achieving a certain rank, whatever it is, but having a visual of that on your vision board, right? So, and then you can also connect to words. Like if you have a word of the year, like I do, putting that word of the year on your vision board, or any words that you really resonate with, want to feel like, kind of desire to have more of in your life. For example, maybe you need some more grace in your life. You're really hard on yourself, and that would be a good word for you to put on there. Or maybe you want to go into a season in your business where you're crushing it, so you're going to put something like hustle on there. But think about images and also words, and just kind of like experiences and things, right, to put on there. So I just jotted down like a few different categories that you might actually want to think about putting on your vision board. Of course, you can create this however you want to and put what you want to on there. Don't put what you don't want to on there. This is all about you and having fun with this process. But so your business and your goals. And if you aren't full-time Beachbody, you can put something about how you want to feel about your career. The job that you're showing up to right now every single day, especially if you're somebody that doesn't intend to eventually go full-time with coaching, like how do you want to feel in your career? With your coaching business, what goals and desires and type of income do you want to make? What accolades do you want to achieve? What types of things would you like to be a part of? Like, for example, you could say you want to be a part of a market council, or like I said, you want to speak on a national wake-up call or at a summit one day. And remember to not let your crazy limiting beliefs get in the way of putting these things on there. Just put them on there if they inspire you and it's something that's crossed your mind a handful of times. Relationships, social life, travel, your health and wellness, and just your body. I know this is a big one for me right now. Affirmations and kind of visual things about how I want to feel, how I want my body to feel, how I want my health to be. Your income or savings, or what are you saving for? Like maybe you're saving to pay off debt and you want to put a certain amount of debt that you want to pay off on that vision board. Maybe you're saving to buy a home for your family or to take your kids to Disney, putting those things on there. Your purpose, like what gives you purpose, not just in your business, but in your life, like putting your purpose on there, right? Because that's a very strong reminder of why you're doing what it is you're doing. Who you want to impact, like the women you want to connect with. So for, some of the girls on our team are very into helping people with diabetic needs, right? That could be something that's your niche of women that you really want to connect with. So putting things like that on your vision board. Life goals, like just in general life goals, like maybe you want to run a 5K race, or you want to sign up to take dance classes or like whatever, but putting these things on there, right, that excite you, or maybe you haven't made time for. This is the big one for me because I really don't have a whole lot of hobbies, and I'm working on creating more kind of connection and more life in my life, if that makes sense, instead of just running a business and being a single parent. So that's a lot of things that are going to be going on mine this year. And then affirmations you can put on your vision board. These are not just things that you can write or say to yourself every day, but if you have affirmations of things that you want to really believe or feel about yourself or about your life, put those affirmations on there too, because that's a really strong reminder to you every day of how you want to feel and how you want to be talking to yourself, right? Your mindset, your home, like what does your home feel like? What does it feel like when you come home? Your daily life, your relationships. I said relationships, but your spouse, your kids, like how you want to feel about those things. So that's all I've jotted down. I'm curious, does anybody have any other categories that they would think of things they'd want to put on a vision board about? Did I cover the bases?
I don't think I heard it, but one thing I have on mine is like places that like fill me with absolute joy and happiness. That's what I have on mine. I love that. I love that like reminder of like how it feels to be there.
Yep. 100%. And that's actually, it's funny because that's the next thing that we're kind of digging into is asking yourself, what brings you joy and what brings you meaning? And like Rachel just said, it could be a place, it could be a thing. It could be something you do daily. It could be something you do with your children. Like, what brings you joy and what gives you meaning? Because you want more of those things in your life, right? We want to feel joy. We want to feel meaning. We want to feel connection. We want to feel happiness, right? And then I just kind of jotted out some questions of things like you could think about, and there's really no rhyme or reason to these. They were just things that kind of popped in my head as I was taking notes. But what makes you feel most alive? How do you enjoy spending your time? What are your passions? What do you want to feel like on a day-to-day basis? What gives you energy? And this is a big one, energy, I feel like, because you know that there are certain things that kind of suck your energy or drain your energy, or maybe thoughts or habits or whatever. So thinking about what really gives you the most energy, like friendships, connections, routines, things that bring you the most energy, and putting those on there. What makes you feel loved? What are your relationships and your friendships like? How do you feel showing up to your business every day? Like, how do you want to feel when you sit down to work your coaching business every day? And then, like I said, I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but like not judging the space in between where you are right now and like what it is you really want to create, especially if there feels like there's a really big gap in between the two. That's totally normal if you're wanting to kind of level up and live a bigger life, right? So the next thing in chatting about that, kind of like closing the gap, and I loved this from the training that I was in, she talked a lot about observing the limiting beliefs that come up for you as you do this. So like as you're in the process of putting things on there, of really kind of getting into that excitement about putting bigger goals or the things you really desire most in life on that vision board, like what limiting beliefs come up for you, what feelings come up for you. And instead of kind of like trying to stuff those feelings down of like, that's not there, you know, that you don't have fear about pushing for this goal, or you're afraid that you don't have the skills it takes to achieve that yet. Like, the thing is that you have to like feel those feelings, right? And learn how to work through them instead of pretend that they're not there, because then they're always going to stop us before we even try to actually work on these things coming true, if that makes sense. So notice the resistance and notice the fear that comes up for you. And then this was something from Brendan Bouchard that I loved so much. Somebody actually shared it at our retreat, if you guys that were there remember, but it was asking yourself, how would my highest self feel about this? Or how would my highest self respond to this? So that's kind of a good counteracting question to ask yourself when you have this fear and resistance or limiting beliefs that come up for you, and just ask yourself, like, how would my highest self feel about the situation? What would my highest self do? Like, what actions would you take? And working on really kind of aligning with that, rather than just letting your default setting of fear stop you in your tracks before you even take any action. Going back to affirmations, if you notice that you have resistance or fear that comes up repeatedly in terms of something very specific on there, or it's a very like loud, obnoxious fear or limiting belief, you can easily do what they said on the call 2 weeks ago and flip it and make it more of a positive affirmation. So maybe you're like, I want to build a 2-star diamond. I want to build a 2-star diamond this year, but you have a limiting belief that says, nobody is interested in the coaching opportunity and wants to join my team. So maybe you're going to write down and put on your board an affirmation, something of, I am so excited to share the most life-changing opportunity with women just like me, and everyone is so excited to join my team, and they're so lucky to have me as a mentor, right? So flipping that negative limiting belief and creating a positive affirmation around it that you can use with yourself when you feel that come up for you. Let's see. Okay, so the next part, does anybody have questions on any of that or anything they want to add? Is this helpful so far?
I was going to add on mine for this year. you mentioned kind of like, where do you see your business going? And a part of that, my business is like, I really want to grow into a better leader. So that's a part of my vision board, and really kind of like learning a little bit more about how mentoring other people is going to like help me grow. So, expanding, and not only, business financials, where do you want, vision wise that way, but like just self-growth in that realm.
And who do you want to become? Yeah, I love that. Love it. That is a really important thing to think about. Okay, so the last kind of thing about this, and this is like different than any other vision calls we've ever run, because this was a really big part of the course that I took on this, and I just loved it so much. And I don't obviously yet have a full-on routine about this. But I was thinking earlier, as I was thinking about this, like what I used to do when I first made vision boards. And I had this kind of ritual when I put Declan to bed every single night that I would say to myself, like, I'm building our dream life. I'm building our dream life. And that was like my repetitive pattern every single night, because I used to work super late after he'd go to bed. And it was something that always reconnected me to what I was doing and why I was doing it, even when I was tired, even when I didn't feel like it, right? So creating some type of a ritual around this for yourself, and it can be in the morning, it could be before bed, it could be when you're getting dressed in your closet, if that's where you're going to be hanging it. But just some kind of suggestions. And one of the ones that I loved so much was picking a song, picking like a feel-good jam song that you just like lights you up, fires you up, just like when we say like jam out to music before you sit down and do your power hour and your connections, but a song that like hypes you up, makes you feel good. My song is Glorious by Macklemore, because I just love it so much. But like figuring out a song that just makes you feel super good and listening to that every day while you look at your vision board, and then you kind of close your eyes and you visualize like what it's going to feel like when you achieve that goal. What's it going to feel like when you have that connection in your relationships? Like, what are you going to feel like when you show up to your business every day? Like, what does it feel like if you're in your strongest, healthiest body? And what are the things you say to yourself? Like really dropping into that feeling, and just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but like with the beat of the music, and you're just kind of visualizing, and it like gets you in such a good high energy for the day. So I personally would suggest doing it in the morning. Whenever works for you. If that's after you come home from work and you need to like amp yourself up to work your business, maybe you do it then. I don't know, but it makes such a difference. And I've seen a bunch of you nodding your head about the song thing and kind of getting in that hyped up feeling. So closing your eyes and visualizing, setting an intention for your day. Setting an intention when you sit down to work your business. I actually, Kelly shared the video from Chris Downing from Super Saturday last weekend, and I loved how he said, like, do you pray or do you connect with blessing your business before you sit down to work it? Like, do you say, like, I'm going to bless somebody's life today? Like, I'm going to change someone's life. Like, I'm so excited to show up and work right now because of the possibility and the opportunity I have to offer people. Like, connecting with the intention that you want to have throughout your day, and like how you're going to show up for your day, right? If this is your vision and you really want to bring this to life and you want to align your daily actions with it, like what intentions are you going to set to do that? Because if we go on autopilot, let's be real, we're stressed out, we have crying babies, we have shit that happens. Like it is so easy to get pulled out of that headspace, or get distracted, or just not really feel connected to why we're doing this. And setting that intention is really important. So, so when you're visualizing, guys, like thinking about all the feelings and emotions, and I know we talked about this the last time we talked about vision board, but like, what do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you smell? Like any of those things that make you feel really connected to things on your vision board, the more you can actually like make it real in your mind, the better, right? The subconscious mind is very powerful without getting too woo-woo. Like that's kind of part of what this is really all about. I would also say having some type of gratitude practice. I personally, for the last many months, have been meditating first thing every single morning. And I also write in a gratitude journal every single morning. And I cannot tell you how much it helps to start your day with writing out things that you are thankful for in your life. Maybe it's a connection you had. Maybe it's your home, your kids, your spouse, your income, you know, the business you already have. But like being in that state of gratitude for what you already have as you're working to call more into your life, right? Because happiness and joy and gratitude are just magnets for more of that. But when we're in a negative headspace and we're thinking about everything we don't have and we don't want and everything that's a struggle, it's really hard to show up and do exciting things from that headspace, is it not? I would hope you guys
Hey, Dana, one thing that I just thought of actually while we were on this, I signed up for one. There's a lot of places in the US that have, they're called pop-up classes. Like in North Carolina, there's a company that runs them and it's called like Skill Pop. But all over the US, like there's small companies that will host pop-up classes, and they host things like some of them are like vision boarding, and there's some on marketing your own brand and Instagram and stuff. And I actually signed up for an Instagram class while we were on this, but that's also just a way to like re-inspire your vision, because you'll be around a ton of other people probably doing really different things than you. And I took a bunch last year, and what we did was, you know, halfway through the class, we broke away with people who we had never talked to before and totally different businesses, but it gave you like a revitalization to like what you were doing. So this, like just being on here now is like, oh, I gotta sign up for a Skill Pop. And I signed up, I like went on, and the first thing was like Instagram. And I was like, well, that's the one thing that I really suck at. So that's a sign. So I encourage everybody to look those up in their area.
Skill Pop.
And Skill Pop, I think Skill Pop's just in North Carolina right now, but look up like pop-up classes, because they're usually cheap. Like the one I just signed up for is 3 hours and it's $30.
That's cool.
So yeah, so that's just something else to like sort of reinvigorate you.
I love that, Kelly. And it's funny that you said that. Reminded me of something that I kind of blanked on, but they're, part of like what I was saying about closing the gap between like where you are and where you want to go, or like even like Mary Page said, like where she feels like she's at right now and the leader that she wants to like desires to become, right? There are skills and like things we need to learn, like, right? There are things that we're kind of like, I'm not really exactly sure how I'm going to do that, except I'm setting the intention that I want to. And just be mindful of like what shows up for you. Like Kelly Spencer just said, she randomly hopped on there and like the first thing that comes up is something that she wants to learn, right? So be open to things popping up, whether it's calls or a conversation you have or a podcast you listen to. Like you are literally a sponge for information. And when you are open to it, things start showing up for you more. So just be open to like the ways that, you know, are coming to you of how you can work on creating or becoming things that you're putting on this. That's kind of along the lines of law of attraction. So if you've never watched The Secret on Netflix, you should probably go watch that. The next thing, so I was talking about gratitude of some sort, gratitude journaling. I have this one that I bought on Amazon. It was like $6. It's a daily gratitude journal. It has like 3 spots. I usually write 2 pages. Like I try to write at least 12 to 15 things I'm grateful for every single morning. I also recently started writing things in that gratitude journal as if they already are, even though they are not yet. So writing, I am thankful for, or I am grateful for statements of things that I want to happen, but in the present tense as if they already are real. And this is a really powerful practice too, right? Because eventually they are going to become real if you are actually taking aligned and inspired action to get to these things. So that's a really powerful process to do mindset wise too. And then the last part is really deciding daily how you're going to take action on closing the gap and making these things a reality. So it really depends on if the things you put on your vision board, some of them may be really short term. Some of them may be a lot more long term. I actually do have a worksheet from that training that I took if you want me to post it in the team page, and it's super simple. It's like, what are your top 3 goals for the year? What are your top 3 goals for the month? What are your top 3 goals for the week? And like, what inspired and aligned action can you take that aligns with your vision board, that you can start showing up and doing daily, to have those outcomes, right? And I want to stress a really important part of this, which I don't know, I feel like I've kind of skirted around it, but if you don't believe the things that you put on this vision board can be real, they never will be. Your belief is literally everything in this business and just in life in general. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to have the energy to show up and take the action and do the scary things and, be open to the opportunities or the connections that show up for you. So working on your belief about these things, like truly being possible for you and that you are capable of creating them, is such an important part of this. And that's okay if you put it on there and you don't 100% believe it yet, but like, work on that every day. Like, the way you talk to yourself about this is so, so important. And then just kind of breaking down, like, are the actions I'm taking daily serving me and getting there? And this is where that like self-honesty, like nobody's sitting over your shoulder watching what you're doing every day. Like, we say that a lot about our business, is like, nobody knows what the hell you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis except for you, right? So for example, for me, with my desire to completely be healthy and healed and whole and happy and feel well, even though I'm still working through symptoms and fatigue and things as I heal, right? A lot of my daily actions are things that are going to help me get to that place. And I'm also constantly affirming how it is I want to feel, rather than constantly letting my mind go a million miles an hour of the current things that I'm feeling, because that doesn't serve me to focus on those things. So really thinking about connecting with your daily habits, the daily thoughts you have, the choices you're making, the connections that you're partaking in, the things that you do daily that drain your energy. Maybe that's scrolling social media drains your energy. Maybe it inspires you. I don't know. Like, that's different for everybody, but thinking what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And really start working on kind of getting clear on what actions are taking you forward towards these things, and what things feel like they're taking you backwards. Because just like we talk about all the time, it's consistency and the compound effect and daily choices that seem insignificant, but they're not, because over the course of time, they create the outcome we want, or they don't, right? And not to say beat yourself up if you look at it and think like, God, I'm not doing the things I need to be doing, or I'm screwing this all up, or I need to change a million things. This is just like a personal check-in and having self-awareness of where we can improve and what we can work on, so that we can just keep getting better and having fun with the process and enjoy working towards these bigger goals and things for our lives, rather than feeling like they're just forever out of reach, right? That's basically all I have. Does anybody have questions, comments, things you want to add?
So I can add a little bit now that I can actually talk on this. The whole vision board coming to reality thing really reminds me of, I don't know if, I'm sure she said it a million times in calls, but I know that she also had it in a recent podcast. Elizabeth talks about how her reality of coming to their new farmhouse and standing in the window, looking out into the backyard, seeing her kids play, hearing her kids play, smelling what's being made in the kitchen, and just like that feeling that it gives you to realize like that you've gotten to the place that you can afford financially and like within your heart and soul to have those things that you wanted. And those are the things that you really want to touch on when I think Dana talks about, don't limit yourself. Like, this is, really dig deep into what is the feeling behind what you want beyond your wildest dreams. Because the sooner you can tap into that feeling, then you can go to that place. And I think that to me is vision board, like 103 times like a million. So it's like,
Well,
what does
it's
it smell
vision
like?
casting. It's not just vision
Right.
boarding, it's vision casting. Yeah.
Right. So what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Like, how does it feel like in your heart and soul? What does it look like, not only for your workspace, but like, what does your kitchen look like? What does your kids' bedrooms look like? What does your car look like? And this isn't about monetary things, but it's that feeling that it gives you when you're going to be sitting in that space.
Yeah.
Is what I think of.
Yes. And the like a great time to do that is when you're listening to your feel good hype song, because I love how you described that, Katie. That was such a good description. Because I have, when I think of this in my mind every single morning and I listen to my feel good song, like I have a very, very, very clear image of like the kitchen that I want to stand in, what it looks like, what it feels like where there are plants, where there's light coming through windows. Like the deeper you can get into connecting to that feeling and that vision, the better. So love that. Good night, Ashley. All right, ladies. Well, if nobody else has questions or comments, I hope this was helpful. Should we make a challenge for everybody to post their new vision board by next Wednesday? Does that give everybody enough time by Wednesday?
Yes.
Like big, crazy, inspiring dreams, goals, lives.
I'm gonna make Noah make one too.
Yeah, Noah, put the Roomba on there.
I just, oh my God, the Roomba, he would just like, if he could, he would like put it on a leash and like, he like got the app so he can like watch it during the day too. I'm not even kidding. No, but I think that's like not a bad idea, is like have your significant other make one with them so you can see like how closely you align in obviously very different ways. Like he's not coaching, but what does he want, you know? And it's a good way for you to encourage each other with goals, because if he sees mine and I see his, and then, you know, we spend a week sitting on our butts doing nothing, being lazy, it's a really good kick in the butt for each other. Like, I don't think that it's a bad idea. And Christine was saying to me, she's on right now, that she thinks she might even do this with her students. She's a first grade teacher, and she was thinking that that could be a really cool project for her to do with her kids. So picture it bigger too. That would be fun.
We should do this kind of stuff in the schools.
We should have our kids do it.
I
Like,
had a
that would be so cute. Like, I might have Rowan make one. I think it'd be adorable, like for her to pick out all the like pictures and magazines and cut them out, like what she wants.
Yeah. What you're saying though, like just in general, sharing your vision, because we talk a lot about that, like sharing with your spouse or sharing with your family. Like the other day, Ashley and I were on the live office working together, and her daughter was coming up just like constantly like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, tell her what you're working for. Like she needs to understand like why mommy works for business, like why she's, you know, watching a movie for a half an hour so you can get your work done. Like, what are you building for your family? And like, tell your kids that too. So sharing that vision and having that support and that accountability, and also just that like reminder when somebody needs to be like, hey girl, what about that vision you told me about? Yeah.
I can't remember where I listened to it or read it or something, but it was talking about like how to talk to your kids about like what you're doing. I think it was in the Get Over Your Damn Self book.
Yeah.
And she had some really good tips about like how she shared in the beginning, like why the kids were like, you know, she's like, I'm doing this so that we can go on the blah, blah, blah for, you know, for our family, and do it. Like she was explaining this is going to help them get to whatever they want to get to. And it kind of broke it down very simply to tell the kids like why.
That's what Ashley told Violet, that they're going to Disney. One of the things. And now she's like, all she talks about is Disney.
There's some accountability.
Yeah, for real. Like daily 7,000 times a day reminder.
And I think that's also just another note, not to go off on a tangent, but including your spouse. I don't know who else has spouses on the call, but this business takes a lot of time sometimes away from those that that we love. And if they can see what you're working towards, as long as you're being diligent and actually working when you're saying you're working. Including them in this just helps kind of show them where you're going, because a lot of times I'm sure you'll hear on and off that, you know, spouses get irritated, or, you know, they blame this for marital issues, and like there's a lot of that, and a lot of it is because they don't understand what's going on. They don't necessarily see the vision or have the same vision that we do, and sometimes as we grow and change, they may not grow and change. So not only with our spouses, but also with our family members, people in our lives, once we grow to a next level, that's not always accepted by everybody around us. So sharing your vision and what you're working towards just kind of lets them in a little bit to this world and where you're going.
Yep.
And take it or leave it. If you love it, you don't. Whatever.
You support it, great. If you don't, well.
Peace.
Katie, I'm really glad that you shared that. I know we've had like spouse talk a lot, you know, throughout the couple years that I've been on the team, but for me, you know, it was a slow go, like getting Nick on board with things, but like he has been 100% behind me for like probably the last year now. So that, like, it's a real thing, like that does like happen. But it's funny that you say like sharing it with other people. I'm actually like one of my college best friend, she and I had some words with each other recently, and she was like, I thought you were only doing this to pay for your shake. Like, she doesn't believe in what I'm doing. And it was a really hard pill to swallow. Like, she doesn't, like, we've drifted apart because of this. And so like, it can happen with more than your spouse. So like family and friends too. So, you know, mentally working through all that, like, that's something that I'm still working through myself. But like, yeah, sharing a vision, that's important, and that's something I probably should do with her.
Mary Paige, I can say to that too, is that that's not uncommon for people to get uncomfortable when they see you grow. Sure, you can explain your vision if you feel like that's necessary. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to turn around and become supportive. You never know. Maybe if your friendship is that tight, but growth makes people uncomfortable. Growth reminds people that that is possible for them too, right? It does make feelings arise sometimes, and you just have to remember that it's really has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your business or your goals or what you're pushing for. Sometimes things are just kind of triggering for people, right?
No, I know 100% that's what it is. Like, she's never really been that kind of person to really kind of be vulnerable with anyone. And the fact that she sees me doing it, like, she even said to me, she's like, oh, I thought Beachbody just tells you what to post. And I was like, okay, we're going to have a conversation. And yeah, so I completely 100% believe that.
Good learning experience. That's why we always say you got to have a big heart. You got to have a thick skin, because
I know Steph is like putting in the comments and she's singing to me.
Yeah.
She heard my moaning and groaning about it this weekend. So
sometimes the people closest to you in life sometimes are the ones that are going to give you the most shit about it. You know, like, that's kind of how it's.
And that hurts the most too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But in my experience, some people that did not support me around day one are supportive now, or at least I should say, even if they're not necessarily supportive, they're respectful, because they see what I created and what my vision really was about, and that this was not this schemy, scammy, sleazy thing that maybe they thought it was. So I'm not going to say prove them wrong, because I don't like that attitude so much, but let your success make the noise. All right. See you next week. And I guess maybe I'll just put a post up in the team page that'll be like the vision board station. And as these get created, you can share it with us. Yeah. All right, ladies. We lost people already, but we're still going to do a boomerang for those that are still sticking around. Rachel, can you do that?
Strong.
Rachel, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Can you?
Oh, I was backwards.
You need a new one?
Yes.
Wait, I'm on my phone. So
He did it
send you
backwards.
this too.
I just did it up
backwards.
in my face
Oh,
doing
you
that
do?
move too. It was real sexy.
Classy.
Great. It's like when you open it to take a photo and it's like your triple chin.
Meanwhile,
got
Dana, I have to say, your photo that you took, like you had your red lipstick on, it was a couple weeks ago. And it was like a photo where you took from below your chin and it was up to the sky. Not great with like
I
how to
took a
describe
photo
that.
like that actually again this week. I just haven't posted it yet.
I was like super impressed that you made it look amazing. I was like, if I took a photo like that of me, I don't know if it would turn out as great.
Oh, I took that one on the cruise and it was kind of an accidental, like I was looking out over the sitting on the side of the cruise ship and I was just like, oops, snap. And I was like, dang, I kind of like that. It looks like professional photography skills that I really don't have and pretend I do.
Okay.
Rachel, are you taking another boomerang or are we just calling?
No, I took a photo. I'm good.
We're like waiting on you.
I got Tina mid blowing kiss. It's perfect.
I was blowing a kiss.
Yeah. Or something. Maybe you're just talking. It looks like you're blowing a kiss though, so that's cute.
That's the Greek in me, is talking with my hands. All right,
Well,
ladies. Love ya. See you next week. Bye.
have a great night.
You too.